So Kai, this interview la facciamo in italiano, ok? Tutta in italiano,
I don't know about that one.
But are you learning Italian?
I'm trying. My wife, she just stopped with her school for the semester, so in the next weeks we want to pick up a little bit more. My son, he teaches me a few words, but I'm still not so great.
Oh, we're making English.
Yeah, perfect. Ever since I first got here, for some reason, I've always been a leader on my teams, but for some reason when I got here, I just felt the urge to exercise that even more here. And obviously with this fan base, with the guys on this team, it's just, honestly, it's easy. It's easy to show up and do your job and show up and play games here. So it's definitely something that I think I've embraced. First off, it's something like I've never really experienced. Okay.
You remember?
Yes, I remember all of these actually. Even my kids still to this day, they like to watch these highlights because they didn't get to go to that game. It was so late. But just speaking about the Derby is something like, I mean, you can't put into words unless you experience it. You don't know. Hearing about this big rivalry before I even signed in 2019, but then finally on Christmas night getting to be a part of it, it was amazing. Obviously that was a tough time for me. That was the first Christmas without my father, which was a tough time for my family. I wasn't able to physically be there for my mom. So I had a little extra, I guess you could say, pep in my step, a little extra motivation that night, and it was just a fun night. Obviously, I didn't get to play so many minutes because of the large spread in the game, but I was just more than anything, I was happy to see the fans happy. There's something that they have been waiting for so long, and for us to be able to win in this type of fashion, it was a good feeling. Obviously, I wanted to also play in front of Fortitudo's fans. I feel like those fans deserve that game also. And with the pandemic, it was disappointing. I can't say it wasn't. But also, it was also disappointing with the pandemic continuing last year and neither team getting to really have so many fans. So I'm looking forward to this one to kind of get back to some type of normalcy, even though it's still limited capacity. But it's definitely a game that has a star by it. I mean, everybody understands the importance, and I just hope I can play well and we win the game. I'll start in the worst moment. It had to have been when the clock hit 0 during the Kazan game. Being so close to one of our main goals, especially after having to stop the season, making the final 8 my first season. And then, having this motivation and being up 1-0 and even coming back after being down 16 or 18 points on the road to tie the game and to lose like that. And then also to kind of have the game in control most of the game here. And then they went to some different matchups and we just didn't play well. And you have to give them credit. I've said that since we lost that game, and I'll still say it to this day. They played better than us. And that's the hard pill to swallow as an athlete sometimes. But for sure, the best moment was when the clock hit 0 on June 11th for me. It was a day I'll never forget, my first domestic championship. And honestly, I'm a firm believer in fate, and it was time for not only the club, but it was time for me to finally feel this joy. And after what we went through, obviously with coach, with certain players, it was just a perfect ending, not only for me and my teammates, but for the city.
About domestic league, what was the turning point after Kazan, during game 2 in Treviso, or between game 1 and game 2 in Brindisi? For this?
Yes, for me, it was difficult for after the Kazan game and we played in Milan, and everyone knows that didn't go well. It was just a bad showing, and I think it's also normal for an athlete. We were very deflated. We were very down as a unit and also individually, and it's understandable. It was just very bad luck that you play the number one team in the league the very next game. So there was no kind of warming up with an easier game or a slightly easier opponent. There was none of that. It was immediately you have to be professional and you have to try and move on, and we just we weren't ready yet. And after the game, Coach Sasha voiced his frustrations with us, as he should. And some players kind of stepped up, and you know, obviously people were going through a lot of different things during that time that don't need to be talked about, you know, within our locker room, you know, on the court, away from basketball. So we talked a little bit and just kind of said, hey, you know, we have a couple months left in the season. You know, how do you want to end this? Do you want to end it in an embarrassing way, or do you want to go down swinging and come together one last time and just see what happens? And the Treviso series was difficult for me because I wanted to be an energy spark for this type of ending to the season. Obviously, we knew our capacity, we knew our potential. We were finally starting to get a little bit healthy, especially Markovic coming back from his ankle injury was starting to feel a little bit more normal. And obviously, everybody knew how important he was for us. And also Bellinelli was in a really good rhythm coming back from his second groin injury. So the Treviso series hurt me individually because I couldn't help my team. But I just had this crazy, you know, energy and just you know, want to help my team. And I wasn't able to play so many minutes, but Coach Sasha did this for a reason, to kind of ease me back into a rhythm the first two games in Brindisi. So as you saw in the video, I used, you know, I played a little golf after game one, just to kind of free my mind a little bit, and I think it helped. I was extremely happy to come back and play in front of more fans after June 1st. I think the decree upped the capacity. And it was a great sight to see our fans in Fiera for Game 3, and I was happy to close that out. And then it was kind of just a new season for the Milan. It was definitely something I'll never forget. Well, of course, champagne. No, just when the clock hit 0, finding everybody kind of one by one, just sharing a few words. You know, individual words for each person, hugs, a lot of emotion, and you know, a phone call in the locker room to my wife and kids who really wanted to be there, but had already went home for the summer. Just a lot of emotion. Obviously, it made me miss my dad a lot because I know he was very proud watching. But just not being able to physically talk to him, you know, obviously brought out a lot of emotion. But just you know, the celebration in the locker room with the champagne. There were some cigars. There was again a lot of individual conversations, a lot of hugs, a lot of music being played. I never do a Facebook Live or Instagram Live, but for some reason that day I felt it was important. So I'll probably never do an Instagram Live again. And then obviously followed up with a good dinner with the guys before everybody was able to go home. So finished with a lot of more champagne. Honestly, I would never expect to beat them 4-0. I mean, I would be lying if I say that I did. I knew that it was a possibility. I felt that we matched up well whenever we fought, whenever we competed at a high level. I felt we could compete with anybody. But you know, we had like I said, we had a little bit more of a spark after the bad showing in Game 3 against Kazan at our home court, and I think that we put a great emphasis on Game 1 in Milan, and that showed us that, hey, you know, when we buy in and we do what we're capable of doing, that anything is possible. And then we kept hitting, we stayed with it, we stayed together. Everyone played well off the bench Game 2, and now we're coming back home up 2-0. So you know, the same importance that was on game 1 was on game 3 now. If we can win game 3, then, you know, that's pretty much a done deal. So game 3 was very important, and obviously everybody else knows the rest of the story. I mean, I would probably love to coach. My Uncle Chris right now is a coach. My cousin Buzzy, who trains me in the summer, is an assistant coach for Nebraska College. My Uncle Chris with the Golden State Warriors, player development. So I feel like it's almost in my DNA to be a coach, but I want to give a chance to my wife to be able to do her career. She's almost finished with her 2nd degree in computer science. So she's kind of slowing her degree up for me, and she sacrificed so much in these 10 years that we've been over here together. So I want to make sure she gets to kind of pick her dream job, and I will fill in doing something, whether it's high school basketball, college. I'm not really sure, but I would like to still be around the game whenever I'm done. But I mean, I hope I still have you know, a few more years to go. I hope. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.